need motivation and inspiration to get you off the couch and boss up? We've got you covered. Welcome to the Build or Destroy podcast. Self-improvement, education, business, relationships, financial literacy, investing, and doing for self. Let's do this. Here's your host, Anthony Barber Jr., aka The Builder.
What's up, good people? This is your boy, The Builder, and we are back with another episode of the Build or Destroy podcast. And this week, I got a crazy one for you, baby. We talking about the science, or should I say, the mental gymnastics, the behavioral science of finance when it comes to investing and trading. And some of the toxic mind games coupled with the emotional hangups that come along with that. Now, before I get started into this episode, man, I really want to just give some perspective real quick, because I know a lot of people out there, you know, they try to make it seem like, man, my stock sucks, you know, or this stock sucks right now, or why does this price keep going down right now of this particular security or whatever that they're in, right? But let me remind you, man, that if you trade OTC especially, there's a total of 12,061 stocks, basically 12,000 plus OTC stocks that are tradable at any given time. You know what I'm saying? If you want an exact breakdown, pink sheets are 10,215 OTC QB. There's 1,226 of them, and OTC QX there's a total of 620 for a grand total of 12,000 plus. There's 12,000 plus stocks, man. And I notice a lot of people tend to focus on like the dirt cheap stuff, right? And that's where a lot of the shitty reputation that the OTC gets, you know what I'm saying, as a, it's not an investment space, or it's not this, or, it's just trade them all. They all suck. It's like, man, they don't suck, man. Okay. A lot of them are startups. Yeah. Especially in the pink sheets. But if you look at all the higher tiers, there's some pretty, crazy companies out there, man, that really, hardly have any volume. And then when they do get volume, they just rip to the upside. It's crazy. But I just had to put that out there, man, because a lot of people try to make it seem like there are a few little stocks that they track, or that they invest in, or that they swing trade or scalp or whatever, based on social media posts, is like the only things out there, man. There's over 12,000 stocks to be traded at any given time. Just to put it in perspective for you, in case you're you just harder, you just, wound up real tight, and you just refuse to go to otcmarkets.com and actually see for yourself how many stocks it really is at any given time, And reason why I'm focusing on the OTC is because, as far as the big boys right now, I want to get into options with that, but that's a whole nother episode for another day. So I'm gonna keep it on the small cap stuff, because I've been getting a lot of requests for like small cap, educational stuff and perspective stuff. So I'm gonna focus on that. So let's get it. Now, when it comes to like toxic mind games and emotional hangups, a lot of people, man, I see a lot of people complaining right now because the overall small cap markets are getting like washed right now. But it's not what you think, man. It's like it's really a reset back to like pre-COVID numbers, man. Like I told you again and again, we have to get over the fact that the Fed and Jerome literally pumped billions into the market, man, for over a year straight. Like they pumped billions into the market on a daily basis, man. Okay, so And now that like COVID is starting to recede and like the veil is starting to come down and people are starting to question a lot of this so-called science and people want to go back to work, surprisingly. Now all of a sudden people broke, so now they really want to go back to work. Fucking groceries not on the shelves. You know, they starting to really see the impact of what happens when a pimp talks sweet to you, aka gives you money and shit for free, even though there's no such thing as a free lunch. A lot of people are starting to see the effects of that. Like I said, it's not always the chart, man. There's a lot of things at play. So I would say, first off, man, like a lot of people need to, like, it's February, it's beginning of February, so I'm gonna say this: a lot of people need to start buying shit at a peak. And one thing that this giant reset is gonna do is take away all the bullshit excuses, man. Like, nobody's gonna be able to make an excuse about, man, I wish I could have got this entry, or man, I wish I could have got this dip, because man, or I wish it would dip to these levels because I would load the boat. Like, I hear that shit all the time. Like, something's running and people will literally scream. The keyboard warriors will get on Twitter and Discord and Telegram and all these other platforms and like literally scream from the heavens in all caps that, man, this stock needs to pull back. We need a pullback, baby. Come on, we need a pullback. This is overbought. It's overbought. Pull it back. Drop it. I need to buy it. I need to load the boat. Well, you know what? The whole market is getting a big fat reset right now. So you really can't make no excuse. The only people really bitching right now are the ones that didn't really protect themselves and protect some of their capital earlier from 2021 when everything got turned into a falling knife. It was a slow falling knife. It took a while for people to really catch on. Surprisingly, people didn't catch on until like October of what was really happening. Like, and when you zoom out, most of the charts look the same from middle of February 2021 all the way to like October, November, when the tax sell-off happened, which made it even worse. You know what I'm saying? Coupled with inflation and coupled with rumors of wars and all types of things of that nature. Like, it actually made the shit worse. But like, if you zoom out from 2021 to like the end of 2021, everything looks like a triangle. It looks like a falling knife. Like, the market's literally, this reset has been happening. This bear trend has been happening since then. Literally, like right after Biden got sworn in, it was like, all right, and we're going to flip the switch in the other direction. We're going to yank all this money out the market. Inflation is coming. We about to start getting into the CBDC conversation. Crypto, fiat is about to get crushed, you know what I'm saying, in a big way. Infrastructure problems. We got supply chain issues happening all over the place. We got massive job shortages, people getting laid off, people getting fired, people quitting, because of, the C thing. And yeah, man. And all that coupled together led to this point that we're at now. And on one hand, if you protected yourself, with some capital, you can take full advantage of this drop right now. You can take full advantage of these bottoms right now. It's bottoms all over the place. Like, literally, the bottoms falling out of everything, good and bad. You know what I'm saying? But I would say, in my opinion, I would say it behooves you now to, even more so than any other time, to really try to find quality companies. Like, because the price, like, everything's bottoming out. Everything's getting wrecked. Everything's getting reset. The big boards take a hit. Or the big board, I should say the big boards, sneeze, and then OTC catches a cold. So like, if you see big board shit getting washed and just getting its cheeks clapped, then you already know like that pain is going to slowly come over to the small caps eventually, and then the small caps are just going to get the remnants and get the beat down as well. And since a lot of those small cap stocks are startups to begin with, they have low capital, low revenues, they're, or even if they are producing revenues, which is good, it's not in the massive amounts that some of these legacy companies or these blue chip companies or these big board companies have. They don't have the funding, they don't have the massive amount of inflows coming in. So like, they naturally take a hit, they get clobbered, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is not rocket science. Like, stay out of your feelings. Like, but my point in all of this is, all the people that like are bagged right now hey man, it is what it is. I hate to even sound like this. I'm not trying to like shit on nobody, because I know it's a lot of emotional traders, and we're gonna get to that too in this podcast. But like, let this be a lesson, like as far as like protection, like you don't have to like be a one tick trader necessarily, but like if you invest 1,000 and then a stock runs to the upside and you're up like 8,000, what's wrong with taking your initial investment out? You know what I'm saying? Or take half of that out. Take $4,000 out and leave the other $4,000 on the table. And if it goes to zero, guess what? You got your initial investment back plus 3,000. That's easy. If you do that enough, guess what? Compound interest will make sure you have a pretty good trading year. And that's just like a basic rule that me and Mines do. You know what I'm saying? Like I trade like that. Like that's kind of like one of my like caveats that I use, like just a rule of thumb, like a hardcore rule of mine. If it goes up 1,000%, 4,000%, 10,000%, it's like I have a long position and I have a trading position always. Like, so I always scale back in to build onto my long-term position, especially like if technically and fundamentally, especially fundamentally on the fundamental side, if everything looks gravy, I am going to be long on that. But best believe I'm taking advantage of gaps. I'm taking advantage of like emotional sell-offs. I'm taking advantage of flash crashes, like all of that. I'm taking advantage of whether it be averaging down or to add to my long-term position, or to sell and take profits on a spike, due to like FOMO or something like that, because those don't last. You know what I'm saying? People only have so much money in their pocket. So like, how long do you think FOMO can really last? You know what I'm saying? So you take advantage of that. You don't abuse the system, but you use the system. You dig? So stop buying peaks, man, and then selling during the valley stage. You know what I'm saying? This shit is all ebb and flow. Like that's what people are doing right now. That's what creates the bear market. Panic, fear. Like people, instead of selling when it was at all-time highs and shit, 2 years ago or last year or whatever, depending on what stock you were in, you literally left everything on the table. You didn't take no profit to squirrel away or set aside to take advantage of dips or even the bear market. Like there's real crafty traders that have a real natural feel for the market, that can see certain shit coming. They're not gonna tell you that, because at the end of the day, they make money trading. They make money off of your emotional decisions. So like, they're not gonna tell you how not to make them money, but they're gonna also like throw it in your face of how stupid you are. Like, just read between the shit that they say when they tweet stuff and when they message stuff and when they put it out there for you. They tell you like, oh yeah, I took advantage of this dip, or I took advantage of this panic. I mean, they're not like pointing you out personally and calling you a dumbass, but they're basically saying it like, yeah, I'm taking advantage of all this emotional shit and I'm gonna double up and make some money. Like, and they're putting it out there. Like, it's very true that a lot of people correlate their personal self-worth with their income, man. Like I said, they get caught in that pseudo social media popularity war where, this guy's like posting $100,000 day, screenshot. You don't know if that's his actual realized gains. He could have took that from his buddy's cell phone, or his buddy could have sent them that shit, or you never know, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? You really never know with a lot of this shit. That's why I stopped posting like a lot of my gains and stuff, and a lot of my big huge green days and all that shit, because I don't need attention like that. I don't want people following me because they think, oh man, he got a big bankroll, therefore like I'm gonna follow him and just like and just follow what he does and I'm gonna do the same thing. No, man, like you have to find your own swag. You have to find your way of doing shit. Like, I post everything I post, like I'm in it, or I'm like scaling in it, or I'm trading it. So like, that's just a quick FYI. Like, if I post it, I'm either in it, I'm trading it, or I'm scaling it. I got a starter position. I'm not going to announce that like, hey, I just took a starter in this, because that's like an alert. If I post it, like, just know like I'm either in it, I'm researching it, I'm scaling in it, I'm trading it. Like, I am in it, like I'm on it. You know what I'm saying? But like, that's not the same thing as me sending you some alert like, hey, this is a buy. Like, bro, do what you want. I'm just telling you, like, what I'm doing as far as like what I'm thinking. I'll post some shit. I'll post my own thoughts. I'll post my own opinions on shit. So I don't get caught up in the popularity wars. I don't have to go portfolio for portfolio with somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need that. I don't need that shit. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. That's why I try to keep it real cordial with everybody. I don't need them type of like stupid shadow games. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really not trying to like do that shit, because like people want drama. People want like this account to beef out with this account, and then this person to be like, yeah, look what I made, and this person like, yeah, well, look what I made, and look what I'm driving. It's like, man, fuck all that. It's like, trade for your own reasons. Like, invest for your own reasons. Like, stop the popularity war. Like, you don't need to get into a popularity war. This ain't no popularity war at the end of the day. It's about feeding yourself, feeding your family, taking care of your fucking kids. That's what it's about. Like, people put a lot of pressure on themselves, you know, based on what the masses is doing, you know, and then they try to make it look like they're doing better than somebody else. Like, nobody's better than the next person. Like, please understand that. Like, nobody's better than the next person. So that's something to really like pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? Another thing I see, lack of risk tolerance. Like, people talk about risk tolerance, right? You know, risk, you know, always you gotta take your risk, you know, take risk into consideration. Risk tolerance, which is basically in simple terms, as far as definitions are concerned, is the degree of variability in an investment's return that an investor is willing to withstand in their financial planning. In layman's terms, basically, man, it's like how much are you willing to take, you know, and put, how much of a burden are you willing to put on your mind, basically. That's what risk assessment is. Like, how much stress are you willing to deal with at the end of the day when it comes to this trade or this investment? You know what I'm saying? Because like, money is like energy, you know, and you're giving your energy, you're giving your money over to this company, you're investing it, you're putting it in it, you're trading it. You're relinquishing control to get a ROI, to get some benefit back from it. You know what I'm saying? So like, you're trying to get some type of an exchange of energy. But at the end of the day, like, how much energy are you putting up? How much leverage are you willing to relinquish at the end of the day? And how much stress are you willing to put on yourself, you know, for that investment? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much risk tolerance, which is important. Like, you got to have a realistic mindset and a realistic view of this shit. You know, what's your willingness? How much can your stomach take? You know, is your stomach going to turn, you know, at 1% red, you know, or is it going to take 10% before you jump out of there? You know what I'm saying? Or is it going to take 50%? Like, some people have strong stomachs. Some people like spicy food. Some people like bland food. It's all personal preference at the end of the day. And at the same time, youth and old age, you know, not that I'm calling anybody old or anything, but like a young person, risk tolerance is way different than like a person that's like got some years on them, that, you know, really like values, you know, the dollar, that values their money at the end of the day, that knows exactly how important, you know, having some money is, you know, squirreled away or for an emergency. You know, the older person has fixed shit at their house. You know, they've replaced toilets. You know, they've replaced the roof. You know, a roof on their house that costs $4,000 to $5,000 to $10,000. You know, new gutters. You know, fixing shit on their car, transmission problems, engines blowing up. You know, blowing gaskets. You know, hospital costs, medical bills. Like, you know, an older person has wisdom. So like, their risk tolerance, you know, it don't make them like a coward or nothing, but like their risk tolerance is very low compared to a person that really ain't lost shit yet in life. You know, i.e. a young person. Young person is just wilding out. You know, they got their, you know, the runway looks hella long to a young person. So, you know, they're willing to jump out of a fucking window. You know what I'm saying? To make a dollar. You know, they're willing to dance naked and through the streets and do a bunch of crazy stuff to get at a bag. You know, where as an older person, they're not gonna do that. They like, man, I'm looking for quality. I'm looking for some revenue. I'm looking for this or that. Like, they're really methodical. Where the young person is more brash and arrogant, and the young person might have a lot of money to just, you know, blow, even though they in actuality they don't have it to blow. But that's just the mentality. That's just life, man. So that's another caveat to this whole thing that people, refuse to acknowledge also. And now we come down to like, the mental traps. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give a breakdown of some of my own personal like lingo that I use for like my crew. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't no pump group. This is like family members. Like I told y'all, like my biggest blessing that I can be is like to my friends and family. So like when I call them my crew, like that's just how I rock. You know what I'm saying? Like if I really fool with you, like I fool with you heavy. So like I try to give people good food. I try to feed people good food, man. Like I'm not out here trying to rob anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like the universe is abundant, and like I got plenty to get, and I got plenty coming my way. And I get even more because I'm generous, and I get even more because I have an abundance mindset. So I have plenty of game to give. So that's just what I do. So let's get into it. Number one, I call it the dead weight mentality, right? And it's basically like when you over rely on what you think, you know what I'm saying, based on like a limited view, or you having some type of limited scope on the current market. Basically having like, if it's not broke, don't fix it mentality, you know what I'm saying? But history has shown that a lot of companies that had that mentality folded, basically, you know what I'm saying? Like I'll give you an example, like Sears, right? Sears and Roebuck, right? They used to send out a catalog, like, and I learned this from my granny, and my grandfather, you know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that old age and wisdom and talking to your elders can give you that the internet really can't. The internet can give it to you. You know what I'm saying? Like if you research it, you can find it. But if you're not, but how do you know to really look for this shit? Like my grandmother really gave me this game like years ago when she told me about Sears and Roebuck, like i.e. Sears, you know what I'm saying? And Sears used to send a catalog out to the house. So my grandmother and, everybody back in the day, that you would get a catalog like mailed to your house, you know what I'm saying? And it had like all the products that Sears would sell. And you could like literally call the number and like order that stuff and like go to the store and pick it up, you know what I'm saying? It was like Amazon before Amazon. It was weird. And instead of Sears like adapting to like the .com era and the internet era, like they literally just went the way of the dodo and let Amazon just like come out of nowhere and just literally take their business model. And I'm not saying Bezos stole the business model, but it's like there's really nothing new under the sun. All he did was innovate, you know what I'm saying? He took the same business model and he like improved on it, you know what I'm saying? That's all he did. And he took it to the net and he started selling products on the net, whereas Sears used to be the, order by catalog and go pick it up at the store. Amazon became order online, and then we just deliver that shit to you. So it's like it made it 100 times more convenient and gave you 100 times more choices. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it was like a new and improved version of the Sears catalog. It was just revamped, and Amazon became, the unicorn, and Sears went the way of the dodo. You know what I'm saying? So like that's what the dead weight mentality would do. You know what I'm saying? It's basically you having a mentality where, you're refusing to think forward. You always have to think forward. It's good. Even if you invest in what's good now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be good later. Future innovation is always a current dream killer. So just be mindful of that. You know what I'm saying? You got to be mindful of that. Next up, man, we got the Titanic mentality, right? Which is basically, this is when you can't admit to yourself that you timed an investment or entry into an investment correctly. Like the Titanic, they thought that some bitch was indestructible, you know what I'm saying? And this is how a lot of people, try to make their mentality when it comes to trading or investing, like they're indestructible, you know what I'm saying? Like they can't admit to themselves when they time something wrong, and they don't assess the market conditions. Like reading or tracking global events or trends or radical political policy shifts that could directly affect the company that they're involved in. You know what I'm saying? Like, people refuse to do this shit. Like, they literally just they just get stuck in their own mentality, and they can't admit to themselves that they made the wrong decision, and thus they go down with the ship. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something. Like, having that Titanic mentality will ultimately drown you, and you'll turn into a damn block of ice, you know, in the Atlantic. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it is. Like, you have to be mindful of everything around you. Just like there's icebergs all around. If you don't see them in time, if you're not being vigilant, and you're not being willing to look at everything and try to see everything that's in front of you, on the side of you, to the rear, like all around, that could possibly affect, you know, your investment, i.e. the ship that you're on, you know, you're gonna go head first into an iceberg, and you're gonna sink. Like, that's just what it is. Like, it's really not that, you know, that hard to, you know, say. Basically, that's what it is. Number 3, man, this is like the validation, you know, mentality, you know, or the validation mindset. You know, people not being able to, or refusing to use their own discernment to trade or invest. Like, this is basically a refusal to listen, or not necessarily use, but listen to objective advice or opinions, you know, from fresh sources. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like I said, that's why I read everything. Even if like it's a bearish article or a hit piece, like, I have to read it. Like, you have to look at both sides of the coin, right? You can't just be a permeable on everything. Even if you are, man, you got to get perspective from both sides. Because, like, believe it or not, like, bears, they study and they do due diligence just as much, if not more, than like some of the best researchers. Like, they're researchers too. They just take the bear case. You know what I'm saying? They argue the bear side of things, which is cool. You know, that's you gotta have that duality in the market. You know what I'm saying? And it makes the market. It helps keeps the market going. You know what I'm saying? So you can't look at a bear like, oh, they just suck and I hate them. It's like, you only hate them because they make a better case than you. You gotta learn how to argue your case. If you can't argue your case, a bear is gonna clap those cheeks every time. They're gonna present information to you. You're not gonna have no fucking ammo to fight, and you're gonna be sitting there looking stupid like, man, I can't believe they put this article out, man. They trying to talk about my company. It's like, well, why aren't you talking back? Oh, because you didn't do no research. You just bought it because it was all hype, and you bought into the hype. You instead of doing research on it so you can counter their point, right? This is what I'm trying to get people to understand. Like, you're gonna be stuck on stupid looking crazy whenever a hit piece comes out, or whenever a bunch of bears jump into Discord, or on the Telegram, or on Twitter, or on StockTwits, or on Reddit, or whatever. Like, they show up like a gang. They show up like, you know, like, what's up? And they ready to mingle. And a lot of people they get scared. They don't want to tussle with a bear because, like, they don't have their shit together. You know, a bear will leave you alone 9 times out of 10 if you know how to move. Just like in real life, if you know how to act accordingly, a bear in real life won't fuck with you. But if you getting out of pocket, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's gonna maul you. Like, that's just how it go. So, you know, forget trying to seek validation for your own personal decisions from other people. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being strong and firm in your own choices, you got to be strong and firm in your own choices. You know, it's your mind at the end of the day. You got to make that shit up for yourself. Next, you got the relevant mentality, or relevancy mentality. People that always want to be relevant, right? So these are the cats that always want to show off or be a part of the social media cliques. Let me tell you something. Like, this shit ain't real, man. At the end of the day, like, I met some really cool people, like on social media, really good traders, really good investors. Like, there's real people, but what I'm saying, like, the theatrics, all the crazy shit, you got to be able to see the bullshit, the theater. There's the real people that offer real content, real research, real trading strategies, and then there's the people that get involved in the theater of shit. They like the theater. They like to perform. You know what I'm saying? Like, find out what you're investing in and what you're trading in the first place, and make sure those reasons are rooted in reality, not social media likes and fake dopamine hits. Okay, like, people are literally addicted to dopamine hits. They're addicted to likes. They want to have either cause drama, or they want to post shit that sound cool. And that's cool. You need those people too. But just know, like, don't get swept up in that and try to be one of those people. Like, find out who the hell you are at the end of the day, and you stick to your role. You know what I'm saying? There's no traffic when you're in your own lane. So, find your own lane and then stick to that. All right. Next, this is one of my favorites. I call it the bird box mentality, right? And this is when people turn a blind eye to obvious red flags, right? And they get emotional when the chickens finally come home to roost. So, like, an example would be like a person that refuses to comb through or look through financial filings or company filings thoroughly. Another example would be like a person refusing to acknowledge the share structure that's ridiculously bloated. You know what I'm saying? And they think that shit's gonna go to like $100, and the share count is like just ridiculous. Like, it's like ginormous. Like, no way that shit's going that high. You know what I'm saying? And they have just a false sense of things. And another one would be like a person refusing to read filings. This goes back to filings, refusing to read filings, and realizing that a company is diluting too much or unjustifiably. Like, there's justifiable dilution, which should be like, it happens and then something else happens that actually benefits the company. If the dilution doesn't benefit the company within a certain time span, then it's bullshit. Cut the parachute, pull chalks, do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Try to hold that motherfucking company accountable. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, it's your capital that's on the line, so you need to act like it. You feel me? Number 6, I call this the Back to the Future mentality. You know what I'm saying? AKA the Marty McFly mentality. This is when people think that history is going to repeat itself with every single investment that they make, simply because everything lines up just like another big winner that they had in the past, right? So like as we witnessed as of late, the market as a whole is upside down. And even companies that crush their earnings, man, on the big boards, which is a great indicator of company growth, by the way, they still got manipulated downward because of outside influences like inflation, or overall market sentiment, or just short-sighted fear, right? Now, and this is where the options traders, like I said, everything's in the season. So like options traders, they've been chilling. Like, they've been on the beach, they've been sipping pina coladas, they've been waxing their cars, they've been walking their dogs, they've been chilling, man, because like they know how to play that part of the game. They know that at some point, like, they know how to read those different things in the market and take advantage of it. You know, it's like horse racing. But that's, like I said, that's another convo for another day. But just like I said, man, be mindful of that. You know, when it comes to, influences like inflation, overall market sentiment, short-sighted fear. You know, it don't matter like how good these companies did, as far as like earnings. And earnings is like that's the reason why a lot of us get into this shit. Like, it's like, do they earn money? Is the company that I'm involved in earning money? Yes or no? And then it's like, yeah, we earned a lot of money. And the next thing you know, the stock drops. It's like, how do you explain that? You can't. It's like shit just happens sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Manipulation happens. Like get over it. Like, there's bigger players playing this game at a higher level than a lot of retail, and a lot of retail don't want to really admit the truth. But like I said, I digress. Next, I'll get into this one. So this is like the gambling mentality, right? Which is kind of like the most toxic one to have, in my opinion. Like, as far as like, and I try to steer my people away from this as much as possible. This mindset is so dangerous. Like, this mindset typically shows up in traders and investors that can't properly handle risk assessment, right? An example of that would be like when they're winning really big, you know what I'm saying? Like, when they're on a crazy run and everything's clicking, right? Everything's moving and grooving and clicking, and they just killing it. Because they're doing so great and everything's so green, their mentality is, well, why risk it, right? Like, everything is green, I'm good. I'm eating good. I'm eating steak every night. I'm partying. I'm drinking a vintage, single malt, whiskey or whatever. I'm drinking some high-end stuff. I'm chilling with this, with this liquor and my people's around me, and we good. We eating good, and we up, right? On the other hand, when they're losing their asses, they all of a sudden want to take hella risks, man, that they wouldn't dare take when they were up. It's mind blowing to me. Like, and a lot of people like, well, why the fuck would they do that? It's like, because, man, it's the gambler's curse. It's like, and the gambler's curse is like, it basically goes like this: if I can win it all back, everything will be great again. If I could just win it all back, everything will be great, man. I can do this, man. If I can just hit that home run again, man, everything will be awesome. It's like, this is what I meant in a previous episode when I said some people would be shells of their former selves without being able to trade or in this era, in this particular era with the social media hype and all that shit, and they wouldn't be nothing, man. Like, they don't think that highly of themselves. They're gamblers at the end of the day. They're really toxic. And a lot of their gambling mentality comes out and it shows on social media every single day. They can't keep it under wraps. They can't keep it together. They're like desperate for a W. They're so desperate for a W that they're lashing out. They're screaming. Their Twitter fingers are going crazy, going ape shit. Their fingers are smoking right now. They're just like, oh my God, I hate this, and I need a win, damn it. It's like, bro, calm down. Quick caveat, man. Gambling, basically is a compulsive behavior, right? And it's often referred to as problem gambling, which is a gambling addiction, which is a progressive addiction that can have many negative psychological effects, physical effects, and social repercussions, man. Like, gambling is one of the most potent addictions a human being can have, sometimes stronger than like cocaine and meth. Like, gambling is dangerous. So like, it's actually classified as an impulse control disorder. It's a mental disorder. You can't let that shit get a hold of you, man. Like, whatever you do not get swept up into a gambler's mentality, man. Take your wins and learn from your losses. Learn from it. Make it a lesson. Don't make it a loss, okay? Like, it's gonna be cool. Hit the reset button, cool off, take a deep breath. Everything will be straight. And finally, the last but not least on the list is the Thanos mentality. We all know Thanos from the MCU, right? This is basically the breakdown. How I break it down is like, overconfidence kills even the most badass investor or trader or financial guru or furu. Like, at the end of the day, being overconfident is a detriment, man. Like, that's why I stress being educated first and foremost. Like, this ain't like a money race, man. You're not competing with nobody. This is literally a solo art. This is a solo type of situation, man. This is chess, like, between you and the game. Like, and you're playing the game. You're playing the algorithm. You're not playing against really humans. Like, there's a human element to it, just like everything, right? Just like at a job. Like, your job, once you learn and get trained up on your job is easy. It's the human element that makes that shit difficult. It's the human element that makes it hard to come to work. It's the human element that makes it stressful. It's that human element that pisses you off, not the job, not the work, not the process. Like, so focus on the process. Like, ignore the human elements. You know what I'm saying? Being educated or natural can lead to great success. You know what I'm saying? But you can never underestimate the whole market. You know what I'm saying? Like, the market going to do what the market going to do. It's going to literally go against your fundamentals sometimes. It's going to go against your technical analysis sometimes. It's going to, like, the CEO can literally just sell out the whole company. The CEO could just, betray to all the shareholders, like, at a blink of an eye. You know what I'm saying? There's certain factors and things and angles of attack that you just can't see with your mind's eye every day of the week. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be mindful of that. And another thing, man, there's no such thing as a master. Only efficient students. Be an efficient student. Quit trying to be like this master trader, this master investor. Fuck that master shit, man. Because like once you hit master level, that's like saying I'm at my ceiling. I'm at my zenith. I have no farther to go. Therefore, you're going to be dead in the water, right? If you have no higher to go, if you have nothing else to learn, then that's it, right? So stop trying to be hung up on this master level shit. Like be efficient. Be an efficient student of the game that refuses to stop learning. You know what I'm saying? You can have a PhD in finance, but that doesn't mean shit when compared to a student of the game that has a great feel for the market at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Don't let your ego cloud your instincts or stunt your growth. You know what I'm saying? And always remember, man, a mountaintop just means you have a better view of the valley. But you still have to bring that ass down at the end of the day in order to cross the valley, in order to reach the next peak that's far off in the distance. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Build or Destroy podcast with your host, Anthony Barber Jr., aka The Builder. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into all the tips and tricks you can use to boss your life up. If you're interested in expanding your mind and reaching your definition of freedom and how these ideas and views can be applied in the real world, tap in with us next week. As always, you can head over to www.builderslsb.com to cop some motivation, dope merch, and sign up to our email list. And don't forget to check out all the links and resources in the show notes. That's all for this episode, folks. And as always, boss up instead of laying down.